Doctor Doom just knocked Thor out cold with 2 fingers. And that's not even the craziest thing hiding in this footage, because there's a shot buried in here of Victor Von Doom getting thrown out of a window like he weighs nothing, and by the end of this breakdown, you're going to know exactly who's powerful enough to do that to him.
Victor was always the smartest guy in every room.
Marvel dropped a brand new look at Avengers, Doomsday around D23, and they're calling it a special look. Don't let that title fool you. The official trailer ran 2 minutes and 25 seconds. This one runs 2 minutes and 10 seconds, and honestly, shot for shot, it hits harder than the actual trailer did. I genuinely wish this had been the first thing Marvel released. And if you've been paying attention to leaks, a good chunk of these exact shots already surfaced months ago through comic book solicitation art before any of us even knew what we were looking at. Now that we can watch this in full 4K, the amount of detail packed into every single frame is honestly kind of insane. And here's the thing, this trailer doesn't answer questions so much as it creates new ones. Every shot is doing double duty. So let's go through this piece by piece, because there is a lot going on. The trailer opens with Susan Storm's voice, and she's building Victor Von Doom's whole aura before we even see his face. Victor was the smartest guy in every room, and right as she says that, we cut to Doctor Doom's throne room, him sitting on his throne, radiating pure menace. If you start paying attention to the background, this entire throne room is inside Doom's castle, meaning Doomstadt itself. And if you look closely at the backdrop, those are the exact same glass panel shapes used in the Avengers Doomsday logo. But here's the real detail. Notice the floor in front of his throne. There's fire burning across it, and that fire is arranged in a perfect circle. We've actually seen this exact throne room before, through those leaked comic panels, and we already knew Doom had built ritual rooms into this floor of his castle, rooms he uses specifically to cast his spells. And now we get to watch those rooms actually in action. If you look closely, the flames coming off the floor are green. And that green shows up literally every single time Doom uses magic throughout this entire trailer. It's not just green, either. There's more going on with that color, and I'll get into that later. This is also where WandaVision quietly becomes relevant again. That show established that when a witch casts runes in a specific location, only the person who cast those runes can use magic in that space. So, Doom carving his runes into this floor isn't just decoration, it functions as a protection spell for the entire castle. Nobody steps into Doomstadt and starts throwing magic around unless Doom personally allows it. From there, Susan keeps building him up. He was different. He was kind. He was caring. And if you watch her face in this exact moment, she's got tears running down her cheeks. There are 2 ways to read that. 1, she's got some kind of personal, emotional history with Doom, which tracks because of how intimately she's describing who he used to be. It sounds like she's watched this man transform into a full-blown villain over time, and she's struggling to accept it. Or 2, she's crying because she witnessed a loss, meaning she watched someone from the Fantastic Four either die or vanish entirely, and that's what's got her this shaken. Honestly, either explanation works. My gut says it leans toward the Doom connection. But both possibilities confirm one thing clearly. Dr. Doom belongs to Earth 828, the Fantastic Four's home Earth. There's no other way Susan would know him this well. Here's where the editing gets clever though. While Susan's narrating, we cut to Magneto, Gambit, and a handful of other characters, and it's framed like they're all in the room with her, listening to this story about Doom. But look at Susan's background compared to theirs. It's completely different. It looks like she's actually on the Fantastic Four ship. Remember that scene from the first trailer, the moment between Thor and Steve, with sunlight pouring through the ship windows? Susan's lighting here feels almost identical to that. It's not perfectly confirmed, But one thing I'm confident about, she's not telling this story to the characters we're seeing on screen. She's telling it to somebody else entirely, and my best guess is Steve Rogers. Especially since the movie clearly needs to establish some kind of connection between Cap and Doom before this is over. And if you're catching details like that with us, the lighting mismatches, the hidden runes, the stuff 90% of people are going to scroll right past. That's exactly why it's worth hitting subscribe now, because we're barely halfway through everything this trailer is hiding. Speaking of connections, the next shot gives us Magneto with his arm in a sling. Somebody dislocated his shoulder or his arm, and the reason that matters is simple. Magneto channels his powers through specific hand movements. Break that arm, and he can't properly use his abilities anymore. That's most likely exactly how someone neutralized him. Whether this comes right after the X-Men vs. Avengers fight we saw teased earlier, or from a completely separate encounter, there's a real possibility Dr. Doom is the one who beat both teams down, sending everybody limping back to the X-Mansion to regroup and start strategizing. Then we get Steve Rogers, still in his house from the earlier trailer, but his whole look has changed. That clean-cut Captain America we saw before, he's not that guy anymore. We also get more of Doom himself here, and his eyes are glowing bright green throughout this trailer. In the comics, Doom's eye color actually varies. Most of the time he's drawn with brown eyes, but a lot of writers and artists shift his eyes to green specifically to visually tie him to his magic. So there's a real chance his natural eye color is something else entirely, and it's simply been overtaken by how deeply he's bound himself to magic, to the point where even his eyes now match his energy signature. There's also a smart design choice with his mask. Normally, if you show a character's face through a mask opening, you get this hollow, empty socket look where there's nothing behind the eyes. The team clearly built in a slight indent around the eye area specifically to avoid that effect. Small detail, but it's a genuinely good creative call. Next, we see Doom standing in front of a portrait, and this lines up with Susan's voiceover telling us Doom has changed because he's experienced a loss. He lost everything, in her words. The portrait is most likely his family, and there are two ways this plays out. The first theory is that this portrait shows Doom's wife and child, killed during some kind of incursion or multiversal level catastrophe. But knowing Doom the way the comics have written him for decades, if he commissioned a portrait of his wife and son, he would absolutely have placed himself in that painting too. He's not exactly a humble guy. So if Doom isn't in the portrait, that points to the second theory. This isn't his wife and kid at all. It's Doom as a child, with his own mother. Look closely at how Doom is touching the painting, one hand resting against his chest. Now look at the child's hand in the portrait itself. Same exact pose. That's not a coincidence. This is almost certainly a portrait of Dr. Doom and his mother. And that lines up perfectly with the comics, because Doom's entire life mission has always centered on one thing: bringing his mother back. His mother, Cynthia Von Doom, was a powerful witch who struck a deal with a demon to fight off a tyrant, a demon who turned out to be Mephisto. Mephisto gave her power, sure, but he kept her soul as payment. Once Doom finds out his mother's soul is trapped, saving her becomes his obsession, and it's literally why he ends up losing his face and everything else along the way. So if this trailer is telling us Doom's big loss is his mother, that tracks completely with the source material, and it might finally explain why he wants the entire multiverse to pay for what happened to her. After that, we cut to the Wakandans, standing in what looks like Talokan's throne room, with Namor standing right behind them. It seems like Namor has joined their side since he's positioned right there with the group. Who they're actually talking to isn't clear yet. Then we're back with Doom, standing on some kind of elevated platform above water. And notice, he's not alone up there. someone's standing next to him, and we genuinely can't tell who it is yet. It could tie back to the Latverian witches that were revealed earlier. The Russo brothers themselves said we're just now starting to learn about the world of Doom, meaning he's not operating solo out of Doomstadt, he's got people around him, supporting him, guiding him. Well, nobody really guides Doom. Advising him, maybe, in the comics, when Doom becomes God Emperor Doom during Secret Wars, he surrounds himself with a full court, including a right-hand figure fans usually call the Sheriff, who keeps order and gives Doom counsel. That role belongs to Doctor Strange. So there's a chance the figure standing beside Doom here is Strange, though the Doomstead story might genuinely be too early in the timeline for that bond to already exist. We'll see. Behind them, there's another figure, and if you look closely at their chest, they're marked with the same sigils Doom wears, almost certainly another Latverian witch. This shot also gives us our best close-up look at Doom's armor yet, and it looks incredible. A red stone embedded in the chest piece, intricate detailing across the runes and sigils, and a full chain aesthetic that makes him look like a genuinely formidable warrior. The next shot might be the most interesting one in the entire trailer. We're looking at New York City, and it is completely destroyed. Calling it battle damage would be a massive understatement. The streets themselves are cratered, like something huge slammed into the ground repeatedly. Central Park's on fire. Every building we can see is either burning or already collapsed, and there's what looks like a crashed ship sitting right in the middle of it all. So the real question is, which New York is this? It's clearly not our main timeline's Earth 616, because there's no way Marvel destroys that city this early in the story. That leaves a few possibilities. 1. This is the X-Men's Earth, since we've already seen serious destruction at the Xavier Mansion, and maybe that damage isn't contained to just the mansion grounds. Between the incursions happening and Doom bringing this level of chaos with him, New York could be catching the fallout too, which would explain why Reed grabs Doom by the collar and demands to know if he's responsible. Or, alternate Reed, Reed's grabbing him because this is their universe, their city, and he wants answers regardless of who's to blame. That said, the whole shot is missing that retro-futuristic look Fantastic Four First Steps gave us. Isn't the Fantastic Four's Earth after all? Another possibility, this could be the exact New York Xavier was watching get destroyed from inside his mansion back in the first trailer. If that's the case, this Earth is already doomed, and we're watching its final moments play out. As for that crashed ship, there's a real chance that's an X-Men ship, sent there to try and hold the line against whatever's coming, which would also explain Magneto's injuries from earlier. There'd have been a serious fight there, and that actually tracks with something I called out when the first trailer dropped. In the comics, when incursions start happening, heroes from one Earth will cross over to a different Earth specifically to strike first and protect their own reality. So this could be the X-Men doing exactly that. Next, we get a shot of Loki, in that same location we saw in the first trailer, which is most likely Steve Rogers' house, since Steve's shown up in that exact spot in this trailer too. If you look closely behind Loki, there's what looks like a hand, either just outside the window or caught in a reflection. Look closer, and it genuinely resembles Doom's silhouette, which would mean Doom's already there, watching, or I'm reading way too much into a shadow. But if Doom really is present, it would explain exactly why Loki's showing up at Steve's door, either to help him or to warn him that something massive is coming and he needs to be ready. After that, we get Shuri, Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, and Ghost, all together on a ship. But it's not the same ship the Fantastic Four have been using. This one looks completely different, and based on their expressions, they've just seen something seriously bad. What exactly that is, we'll dig into another time, because right now, Dr. Doom is busy radiating pure menace off a rooftop, mid-jump, landing like a superhero straight out of a comic panel. except it's not actually what it looks like. Our first instinct is that Doom smashed through that window and jumped down to fight somebody. That's not what happened. Watch closely, and it actually looks like someone hit Doom first, hard enough to send him falling backward through the air, not diving down on purpose. Mid-fall, he pulls off some kind of spell, flips his positioning, and lands in that aura farming pose we already talked about. So the real question becomes, who exactly has the strength to hit Doctor Doom that hard? Because we already saw what he did to Thor in this same trailer, and that wasn't pretty for Thor. Here's another detail worth noticing. Doom's outfit in this exact shot is different from the armor we've seen throughout the rest of the trailer. Only one sigil on his chest, noticeably less armored, almost like he wasn't fully powered up or ready yet. Whatever happened, Doom clearly got hit hard enough to go flying, and that's what leads into all of this. And the location itself is worth paying attention to too. This tower design hasn't shown up anywhere else in the marketing so far. There was a small potential leak that surfaced way back when this movie first started filming, showing this same exact tower. And looking at the characters in that leaked image, there's really only one person strong enough to send Doom flying like that. Most likely, Doom did something first, and that character retaliated hard enough to knock him clean off the building, which is when he started aura farming mid-fall. Things get even messier from there though, because we then see Thor charging straight at Doom. It looks like Thor jumps in for a direct attack, but actually, he tries a lightning strike first, pushing Stormbreaker forward, an attack that's almost certainly going to fail. Doom stops the whole thing with 2 fingers, tosses Stormbreaker aside like it's nothing, and counters immediately. One more detail from this scene. In the background, that's the exact same tower Doom got thrown from moments earlier. Which raises a fair question. If Doom was wearing different clothes when he fell, how did his armor instantly transform back before this next moment? Honestly, it's entirely possible. He's got magic, he can change his own appearance whenever he wants. We do see him casting something mid-air, and if you look closely, something falls off his suit while he's still airborne. Maybe that badge or sigil from his chest. But that raises another question. Why would Doom deliberately shed part of his armor, especially right before using that exact suit to demolish Thor with almost no effort? If anything, you'd expect him to want more armor, not less. There's one more inconsistency worth flagging. If you look at Doom's left hand in this scene, there's a cloth or band wrapped around it, most likely something honoring his mother, or whatever loss he's mourning. But when we see him falling from the tower earlier, that band isn't there. His cape covers part of that arm, sure, and I genuinely tried to spot even a single thread of white fabric peeking out. Nothing. So there are 2 ways to read this. Either Doom took a beating, fell, fully transformed, and powered up before going on to take down the X-Men, Thor, and everyone else in his path, or, and this is the theory that's been living in my head rent-free, there might actually be 2 Dr. Dooms here. We'll get into exactly how that could work in a separate breakdown, because it deserves its own deep dive. For now, just hold on to that theory loosely. Back to the Thor fight, Doom's using that same green energy signature, tossing Stormbreaker aside, blasting Thor away with a single hit. And remember what I mentioned earlier about that green not being purely green? Watch closely, and there's a subtle black bleeding into it. Doom's not just throwing out a generic blast either. His finger movements are quick and precise, activating the rune on his hand before he casts anything. That combination is a dead giveaway that this isn't ordinary magic. This is dark magic, and it looks almost identical to the energy signature we saw Wanda and Doctor Strange both using by the end of Multiverse of Madness. That same blend of color with black woven through it. Whatever Doom's doing here, it's tapping into that exact same dark, corrupted power source. Which raises an obvious question. How? Because last we checked, Wanda destroyed every single Darkhold across the entire multiverse at the end of that movie. And you can genuinely gauge how powerful Doom is just from this one hit. Normally, if Thor takes a hard blast, he'll crash into something and get knocked out cold. But watch his body here. He's completely limp, no attempt to catch himself, no resistance at all. He's not just stunned. He's fully unconscious before he even hits anything. Doom is just that dangerous. Then Doom slams his hand into the ground again, sending out waves of that same green energy. More of those flames rippling outward. Quick detail, notice him subtly adjusting his height in this shot, like he's trying to stand taller than Thor. Which, honestly, tracks completely with who Doom is as a character. Petty, arrogant, and never missing an opportunity to look superior. Classic Dr. Doom behavior. From there, we watch him revive a group of dormant sentinels scattered around him. And if you look at his spell here, there's black dot detailing mixed into the green energy, possibly signifying that dark magic again, or possibly representing the blend of magic and technology Doom's pulling off, since bringing purely mechanical sentinels back online probably takes more than raw magic alone. He'd need to weave actual science into that spell too. And then, finally, answers to me, for I am Doom. That's it. That's all Dr. Doom. Through and through. There's absolutely no hint of Robert Downey Jr. underneath any of this. Not in the voice, not in the eyes, nothing gives him away. Whoever's under that mask right now, it's 100% Victor Von Doom. That was the full breakdown of this Avengers Doomsday Special Look, and honestly, this felt more like a real trailer to me than the actual trailer did. Watching this made me want to walk into the theater right now, and I already know everyone's going to see this movie regardless. But this is genuinely the footage Marvel should have led with from the start. Still, we're not even a full month out from the last drop, so hopefully this means more Doomsday footage keeps coming steadily from here. And with this special look, it feels like Marvel's officially closed the book on those earlier Doomsday leaks, including that scene people were debating as AI generated for months. That debate's over now. We've seen it confirmed, straight from Marvel itself.